comptroller has told me in the past that the power and responsibility that the Baltimore mayor has are too much for any one person to handle. But recently, Henry's concerns became more laser focused on Mayor Brandon Scott specifically, when the mayor mentioned the idea of eliminating the Board of Estimates. Mayor Scott says he and the comptroller want the same thing, a solution to responsibly modernize city government. Last month, when 11 News Investigates asked Mayor Brandon Scott about what he would do if another charter amendment were introduced to strip his control over Baltimore's Board of Estimates, this was his response.
It shouldn't just be about reducing it, it's whether we should have a BOE at all.
The mayor saying the city should consider eliminating the powerful spending board altogether, reiterating that idea at a press conference last week.
I was very taken aback by the suggestion.
Baltimore Comptroller Bill Henry's biggest concern: who Mayor Scott wants to take over the board's power.
Simply eliminating the Board of Estimates and having the mayor individually and directly assume all of its powers is not going to make things better. In lots of cities, the city council approves contracts, not the mayor or a mayor-controlled fiscal body.
In the past, you said it's not Brandon Scott, it's the position of mayor that you have the problem with, that you think has too much power. With Mayor Scott saying this about the Board of Estimates, is part of your issue now with Brandon Scott?
Yes. Because Brandon is a mayor who doesn't want to change how mayor works, at least not in a better way, a more collaborative and cooperative way.
On Wednesday, 11 News Investigates asked Mayor Scott about the comptroller's concerns. What did you mean when you floated the idea of eliminating the Board of Estimates?
This is for me, Tyler, this is not a new debate, right? This isn't about power grab or giving power or taking power away. This is about making sure that Baltimore city government is modernized in the best way. And if we look at DC and Atlanta, when you get to those bigger contracts of $1 million and above, that's actually voted on by the city council, right?
Mayor Scott says the only cities that have bodies similar to the Board of Estimates are St. Louis, Albany, and Minneapolis. Other cities that had them modernized and dispersed those powers. But Bill Henry's point is when they did that, the power went to the city council and or the comptroller if that city has one. So is that what you're saying, that would be what you would advocate looking at?
No, what I'm saying is advocating for is that we look at every single option.
Help me understand, because the only two options I'm really familiar with from looking at other cities are the mayor taking that power or the city council and or comptroller.
Well, most cities don't have a comptroller, but yes.
What other options are there?
So I think that there's many options out there, right? Because again, what you're talking about is the larger contracts. But in most of those major cities, what happens is the procurement professionals do all the smaller contracts.
So then does this just come down to a misunderstanding between you and the comptroller?
I don't even think it's a misunderstanding. I just think that he didn't know that we were saying the same thing.
Both the mayor and comptroller say whatever happens, the BOE should not continue in its current form. City Council President Zeke Cohen tells me this controversy boils down to what's best for taxpayers. And he's calling for the creation of a commission that would look at best practices across the country. For 11 News Investigates, I'm Tolly Taylor.